Our next logical step after finishing our paper is to prepare a professional poster. So we're going to talk about professional poster design. A professional poster is pretty much just an illustrated version of your paper or abstract. It's a short story of your paper. It describes a few major points, but not all of your paper, especially when you have a long paper. For your paper, since it's short, you can pretty much put most everything in there. It makes the reader want to read more about your paper or about your subject, and it's limited to approximately 250 words. And these are often presented at scientific conferences. So one thing you got to remember is less is best. You don't want a poster that is so crowded with words that it's hard to read. So first thing you want to decide is who is your audience. Is it fellow PA students like in this class? Is it PA educators? Is it practicing PAs? Is it other scientific community? Who are you presenting this poster to? So let's talk about the element designs of a poster. These are the elements. There's the title, the names of the authors and sometimes where they're from, figures and pictures that you want to include, small blocks of text, breathing room, readability, and references. So we're going to go through. So the title section should be big, really big, so it catches the eye and is readable. It shouldn't be super long title either. Make it short so people can read it quickly and easily. It should be in bold typeface, but not all caps, even though I have it all caps there, and it should include the authors and affiliations. So here's a good example at the top. It's just very straightforward. The second one, they're trying to be fancy, make it look like it's Star Wars, I guess, and the background is just horrible and the colors are not that good. So figures and pictures. A good poster is not all text. You have to have some figures or pictures to break up that text. If you're struggling to add figures or pictures, then make good use of bullet points or headings, and we'll see some examples of that. A .png image usually prints better than a .jpeg image if you are printing your poster. And if you need to include a scale bar or description, make sure you do that for your figures or pictures. So here's an example of a poster that was done. You can see how they did the titles. It's kind of an interesting way to do it. It's very easy to follow and read. Even though this part here under methodology is text, you can see how they broke up that text by putting little titles here and then putting text. So it's not all text. They have a figure here and they have a figure here, and it breaks up the text nicely. You want to use small blocks of text like we saw in the previous one. In the text, you can use a serif font, that's the no feet font, such as Arial. Headings, you want to use a sans serif font, that's the ones with little feet on them, such as Times New Roman. Use the same fonts throughout the poster. So if you're always use Arial for the serif font or always use Times Roman for the sans serif font, don't switch up your fonts. It gets very confusing and hard to read. Always left aligned. Do not justify or center your text. It makes it much harder to read. And headings can be a different color, but don't go overboard. So if we go back to this one, you can see how the headings, they did a different color here, but it works nicely. And they use the same font throughout their poster. So this is what it looks like. A title, it should be a large font like 72 point, the authors in 48 point, headings in 48 point, subheadings in 36, the body text in 32, and the captions in 24. Now this might need to be adjusted depending on how much text or what figures you have on your poster. So breathing room, that means your poster should contain white space. If every little space is filled, it makes it really, really hard to read. So readability. Posters are read top to bottom, left to right. So you could see the figure here where you're going 1 to 2, then over to 3, then to 4, then to 5. And be wary of very busy backgrounds. It makes it harder to read. So here's our poster again where we saw the title. First of all, the background is very, very busy. This could have been just a plain color or white. It would have given a white space. All the different colors of the boxes make it difficult to read. At least they use the same color for the titles. It's right justified. See, the edges here go to the edge, which makes it actually harder to read. You just don't know what order you're supposed to go in. Am I supposed to go across this way and then down? It's just very, very difficult poster to read. You include the references as the last block of your poster. You do not always include all of your references if the poster is from a paper, but you need to include those that are referenced in your poster. You can also use a QR code for your references, and I've made a short screencast on how to do that, so feel free to do that if you'd like. So let's look at some examples. Here's one, and it's not a terrible poster. You can kind of go see which way it's going. It has figures that break it up, the poster. The text could be a little bigger, maybe. Here's another way that they did it, though. Can you see how they've put blocks around the text? It makes it a little easier to read. Here's this one. Now, this is another one that, while there's a lot of white space, I'm not sure where I'm supposed to start reading. Does it go around in this way, or around this way? Where should I be going with this poster? It should have been organized a little bit better. This one is just a very bad background. The lines going through make it very difficult to read, maybe a lighter background. Other than that, I mean, the organization is pretty well done. They do have some figures in here. It just needs to be a little better color oriented. Here's another one that used a lot of color that was a little too much color and a lot of text and small text, and do they really need this many small pictures? Those are really hard to see in a poster format. This is just a template that's one university uses, so you can see how they have it split up. It's like one of those first ones that we saw, and it makes it quite easy to read. So RMU has a poster template, which I'd like you to use for this assignment. And so there's a link in Canvas, and make a copy of that, and then you can edit it. And this is what it looks like. So here's the one for Huntington's disease, and you can see that she did a really good job of putting everything together. Now, there is some right justification here. I would probably leave that out. It makes it a little easier to read. The abstract goes here. It's just a brief summary of your paper. You're not writing an abstract for this paper, but just make a brief summary in this portion right here, and then organize it the way that you would like. And the purpose of all this is, will your poster stand out in a crowd? So if you're presenting a poster, you want people to come visit your poster. If it's really difficult to read from far away, people might just walk on by. The assignment this week is going to be to do a draft poster, and then you're going to share that poster with your peers. And that will be an assignment coming up. And then after you get feedback from your peers, then you will submit the final poster. Please reach out if you have any questions.